You know how we're told to declutter by asking ourselves, does it spark joy? But let's be real, that salad spinner never sparked joy, and yet there it is in your kitchen, still hogging space. Today, I want to flip the script. Let's ask better questions, not to stop us from decluttering, but to stop us from regretting what we let go. Because yes, clutter is definitely a problem, but so is that panic purging and then realizing that you missed the weird but useful thing you gave away. Decluttering can bring relief, but only when we're asking the right questions. Because if we're just rushing to get stuff out the door without thinking it through, we end up in this weird regret meets chaos zone, and no one likes that. You know, where we're still overwhelmed, and now we also miss the salad bowl we actually liked. As someone who's been through hundreds of homes and helped families deal with decades of stuff, not to mention done my own downsizing from a big suburban home to a smaller cottage, I've learned that decluttering isn't just about getting rid of things. It's about understanding why we brought them in to begin with and whether they still belong in the life we're living today. So I'm going to walk you through a set of questions that I use with my clients and with myself. These are geared to help you avoid that regret hangover, to help you make decisions with clarity and maybe even enjoy the process a little. So let's get right into it. The first question that I ask is, why did I bring this into my home in the first place? This is such a grounding question. It helps us to reconnect to the story behind our stuff. You know, sometimes we bought the thing because it was on sale, or maybe it looked perfect in the store, or you were just having a rough day and needed a little serotonin boost in the form of a ceramic bunny. No? Just me? When we were preparing to move to the cottage, I started asking this question with everything, one item at a time. Why did I buy this? What was the intention? And wow, the answers were eye-opening. Some things I bought to solve a problem, like the second set of mixing bowls I thought would make me magically more organized. Other things I picked up because they reminded me of someone or some version of the me I hope to become. But when we ask this question honestly, we start to see some patterns. Maybe we shop when we're anxious, or we buy things to fill a void, or maybe we just really love mugs. And that's okay. The goal isn't to judge ourselves. It's to understand what the item represents and whether we still need it. What's something that you bought that made total sense at the time, but now it leaves you scratching your head? Drop it in the comments because I'm sure we've all got one. Question number 2 is, do I already have something that does the same job? And do I like that one better? Let's talk about duplicates, multiples, backup items, what my dad calls inventory, the just in case drawer. You know the one I'm talking about. When I was moving, I found 5 bottle openers, not fancy ones, just the plain cranky metal kind that leave you swearing halfway through opening your bottle of wine, and usually rips out half the cork while it's at it. I don't remember buying 5, but there they were, a whole support group of bottle openers. Maybe they were trying to tell me something. So I lined them all out and tested them. Turns out only one of them worked properly. The others were sticky, dull, or had some weird mechanical flaw. So why had I kept them? Because I assumed more meant prepared? Spoiler, it doesn't. So here's what you're going to do. Start grouping your duplicates, candle holders, spatulas, vases. Once you see them all together, it's easier to choose what actually adds value and what's just backup clutter. You don't need 3 vases for just in case flowers. You need one vase that you absolutely love, that you reach for over and over again, that makes your Tuesday grocery store tulips feel super special. What's the one thing you seem to collect without realizing it? Mine used to be milk glass bud vases. I had enough of them to open up my own flower shop. I couldn't resist them when I saw them in thrift stores. I've managed to pare down my collection to just 3, but it's taken some time to let them go. The next question is my personal decluttering truth serum. If I saw this in a store today, would I buy it again? This one cuts right through nostalgia, guilt, and the "but it was expensive" excuse. I had this giant group of 7 print of a winter birch forest in my old dining room. I loved it when I bought it a good 25 years ago. It came with us to the cottage, even though it didn't really go with anything. But I kept it because, well, I already owned it. I held on to it thinking I'd find a place for it in our new life. I didn't. It sat in a closet wrapped in bubble wrap for 8 years. That's not decor, my friends. That's denial. That logic that I already have it, so I should keep it, is how stuff lingers in our homes long past its welcome, its sell before date. When I finally asked myself, would I buy this today? The answer was a clear no. I wouldn't. I wouldn't even give it a second glance in the shop. So why was it taking up so much space in our new life? This question helps us reframe our stuff in the present. It's not about who we were when we bought it. It's about who we are now. If you wouldn't spend your hard-earned money on it today, it probably doesn't deserve prime real estate in your home. The fourth question to ask yourself is this: does it fit my current life or a past or fantasy version of it? This one hits close to home, literally and emotionally. Some noise over there. We all keep things that made sense in a different season of our lives, like the kitchen gadgets you swore you'd use when you had time to try new recipes, or the guest towels you keep for visitors who haven't stayed over since like 2014. But then there's the aspirational clutter, and you know the kind I'm talking about. The cocktail dress you bought thinking you'd get invited to a fancy event, and I'm sure that invitation will arrive any day now. Or the yoga gear you were going to wear during your sunrise routine that never quite materialized. I talk about aspirational clutter a lot because I am absolutely an aspirational shopper. I love the idea of who I could be. I mean, she's charming. She hosts dinner parties. She's up early organizing her pantry and matching jars. But then I look around my kitchen and I realize current me just needs a space that doesn't make her swear under her breath when she opens up the storage container cupboard. I'm about to enter a new phase. My daughter's heading off to join her brother at university next year, and for the first time, we are going to be true empty nesters. Our home, our routines, even our stuff, it's all going to have to evolve with us. What I needed when the kids were little, the bins of Barbies and the family-sized everything, the wall hooks for all 47 jackets, that just isn't what I need now. The transition is quite emotional, and she hasn't even left yet. I mean, there's grief, there's pride, excitement, and also this quiet kind of reckoning. I'm wondering what deserves space in my life right now. So the question becomes, does this item reflect who I am now or who I used to be? Or maybe even who I think I should be? It's okay to keep 1 or 2 fantasy pieces, those maybe someday items that still spark something in you. But if your space is full of things from a life you've already lived or one that never quite started, it's time to reassess. Ask yourself, am I creating space for the life I'm actually living today, or just clinging to past roles and future maybes? Because your home should rise up to meet you as you are now, not drag you back to who you were 10 years ago, or pressure you into becoming someone that you just are never going to be. What's your ultimate aspirational item? The one that represents the version of you that might still become, but hasn't quite happened yet. Tell me in the comments, and I promise I won't judge. I've got a never used mandolin slicer that says we're in this together. Not everything we keep is neutral. Some stuff actively makes us feel bad. That's why question number 5 is this a toxic item? I call them guilt objects. The jeans that don't fit, but you keep them in the closet for motivation, or the expensive piece of decor you never really liked, but you kept because you feel guilty for spending so much money, or the old hobby tools that now whisper, hey, remember when you had free time? These items might look harmless, but they chip away at us. They say, you're not doing enough, or you've let yourself go, or maybe you should be better. And honestly, your home is supposed to be your safe space, not a place that constantly reminds you of your perceived shortcomings. So if something makes you feel inadequate, ashamed, or stuck, that's not a useful item. That's emotional clutter, and it has no place in your home. You're allowed to clear space, not just for physical things, but for your own peace, for breathing room, for acceptance. Don't spend a second guessing here. Don't second guess here, just let it go. This one's for the just in case crew. Ask yourself, is this solving a real problem in my home or just taking up space? That second blender you keep in case the first one breaks, or the backup coffee pot, or the 5-year supply of mason jars. Ask yourself, is this thing actively solving a problem, or is it just taking up space because I'm afraid I might need it someday? Let's play a little mental game here. Picture that thing you're unsure about. Get it in your mind, think about it. Is it a second blender, a formal punch bowl, that 14-piece knife set? Think about it. Now imagine a scenario where you need it, but it's already gone, you've donated it. What happens? Usually nothing. You improvise, you borrow, you make do. When we moved, I had to accept that some things would never leave and never be replaced. And you know what? I survived. My guests still get fed. I still have coffee. I just don't have to dig through 3 layers of casserole dishes to get to the one that I actually use. You don't have to be a minimalist to be mindful. It's not about living with nothing. I'm definitely not a minimalist, but it's about only keeping what actually serves you. This question is really about evaluating risk. If you let something go and find yourself needing it later, can you adapt? Can you borrow, rent, or repurpose something else? The 7th and final question asks, if I let this go and need it later, can I figure it out? And most of the time, the answer is yes. I've decluttered plenty of just-in-case gadgets, kitchen tools, and seasonal decor items that I never ended up missing. And when I did need something, I either borrowed it or I improvised. But, and this is a big but, this logic doesn't always apply to seasonal gear. I live in the Kawartha Lakes, and we don't just have 4 seasons. We have 4 distinct identities of gear. Winter alone means snowmobile helmets, snowshoes, shovels, the emergency car kit, and the smelly and impossible to store hockey gear. In my case, for 2 kids in a coach, and they all have their own bag. Then spring and fall brings rain gear, rubber boots, and that weird in-between clothing that looks like it belongs in a weather waiting room. Summer is a season of its own too, with sunscreen in bulk, flippers, beach towels, life jackets, fishing gear, fold-up chairs that may or may not collapse mid-use. We don't just want this gear, we use it. It is the stuff that makes our lives here functional, fun, and flexible. So when you're asking yourself, can I let this go and figure it out later? You have to weigh the actual cost of replacing or doing without that seasonal item. Because we both know that come February, you're not going to casually just pick up another pair of snowshoes if you've already donated them. And you don't want to be the person stuck on the dock with no water shoes and 1,000 zebra mussels underfoot. Trust me. The key is to store it smartly. If seasonal gear is eating up your coat closet or crammed into every corner of your mudroom, it's time to rethink your system, not the gear itself. Label bins by season, rotate them quarterly, and create storage that respects the rhythm of your life. That way you're not constantly battling stuff that's out of sync with the current season. Seasonal gear isn't clutter when it's serving you. It's only clutter when it's everywhere all at once, or when it's stuff you no longer use. If your kids have outgrown their skates or you've stopped kayaking, that's a cue to let it go. But if it's part of the life you love in this region, keep it and store it well. What's your most used piece of seasonal gear? And what do you keep that just takes up space every year but never gets touched? I'll admit we held on to broken swim goggles for years, multiple pairs, and we'd bring them out and store them in the summer and then put them away every winter for years. So we've asked the hard questions. We've paused before tossing. We've made space with purpose instead of panic. And maybe now your home is starting to feel a little lighter, maybe more aligned, a little more you. But here's the thing, even after you've cleared out the excess, your home can still feel off. And it's not because you didn't declutter enough, it's because you might be following trends that quietly wreck your home's value and your peace of mind. That gallery wall, the barn door, the open shelves you saw on Pinterest. Watch this video and let's talk about it, because that problem has a fix too. I'll see you over there.